Well, unfortunately, my attachable camera is seems to be malfunctioning, but I'm going to do this video anyway. This is about Irma and Monroe County, and how I see it. The storm came. The roofs held up pretty well, and the new building codes seemed to do well, except for under the soffits there was a defect in the codes, and that vinyl stuff blew away and flooded the houses from up under. But other than that, they fared pretty well. What didn't fare well were obviously mobile homes, and and that's interesting, and also campgrounds and RV parks and the such. They didn't fare so well. Some of them are sold. I'm sure that the owners of those properties did quite well. It seemed like everything sold. Lots of things sold after the storm. And what I'd like to talk about is, I don't really. I'm going to start looking into this again, but I just gotta say that I did an article in that was a letter that was posted in the Key West Blue Papers in letters on their website about the storm. The avenues in Big Pine and other, areas where people own property, but we're not as affluent as other people. And then the storm came, and all the trailers got destroyed, and then there were no FEMA trailers, or so few. And my guess on that is that the county didn't want them because the county wanted rid of them, the trailers, and they didn't want people homesteading back in FEMA trailers. It was bad PR for getting rid of people. So they stopped the trailers. And you can't tell me otherwise. If this county wanted FEMA trailers, there were thousands upon thousands of them ready to be delivered. So the people in New Orleans got the trailers and bitched about, building materials that were used in them. And the people down here who needed them didn't even get trailers. They got nothing. I wonder why. Let me think. So now it's been almost a year. Shaken out a little bit, the nerves are a little less rattled, and the attention is off some things. And now I'm hearing about, like workforce housing, which is sort of odd, 1,200 units. They need employees down here. And I'd like to tell you is that's the biggest crock of horseshit you ever heard in your life. Think about it. They're going to tell you that it's too hard. We need to make housing for poor people. It's not true. You're making housing for the hotels and the business people. You're not making housing for poor people. There's plenty of poor people around that could work for those companies. They just might have to pay them $2 or $3 more, So the people in Big Pine who own their property, they didn't get any help at all. And now politicians are going to give builders a big job, which will make big profits for those companies because, it's builders don't work nonprofit even if they work for the county. And then you're going to get the county to have some sort of I don't know if it's workforce affordable housing. Workforce affordable housing, if you ask me, sounds like indentured servants. What they're doing is they're not helping the people who owned, pushing them out of town. They're helping the builders and the developers. They're saving the business people in the county $2 or $3 an hour in wages. It's all about $2 or $3 an hour in wages. And the funny thing is the Hyatts and the Hiltons and the Days Inns and those guys, they're getting $600 a night. They're getting $600 a night. They want employee housing, which will cost millions. I wonder if the builders' profits, I wonder if it'll cost more per household to do that than if they would have just built little places for all the people on the avenues who actually owned their property and had a stake in this place. So what they're doing is they're saying, we'll tell them that we need housing. There's no workforce. That just means they're not paying enough money for people around here to live off of. So what they're going to do is they're going to bring people in, trap them in an area, own them, and keep them for a workforce for $3 an hour. And who's going to pay for it? The businesses down on Duval Street and the hotels all through the Keys are going to save $3 an hour on the front desk guy while they're getting $600 a night for a room, and you're going to pay for it. And those people in the avenues, they didn't get shit and got kicked out of town. And they're going to tell you it's the poor people can't afford to live here. And we can't hire, we can't find people to work for us. Well, you know what? The rents are $2,500 a month. They want to pay $10 an hour to these people, or whatever, $8, $10, $12 an hour to somebody living in the Keys. They're not willing to pay $3 more. Let me tell you, they're making so much god-awful money off these hotels. It's monumental, and they want more. What we should do is before they build anything to find a workforce housing or employee housing, or they might call it low-income housing. Damn right it's going to be low-income housing because they're going to pay the low income, and you're going to pay housing. And they're going to try to make you feel sorry. They're going to make some sort of victim to bullshit you into going along with it. In the meantime, they want like 1,200 people or whatever it is. I don't know how many, a couple hundred over there in Big Pine Key. They could have made whole for a fraction of what those developers are going to cost, and the politicians are going to get us to pay. So stand your ground on this. Don't let them build a goddamn thing for anybody until they build things for people who needed help that owned here. Owned at the time, owned before the storm, owned during the storm, and were wiped out. Let's see you help them before you go bringing in indentured servants for businesses that are making money hand over fist. We got an election coming up. That's something else we could talk about. You really want to piss the hotels and the businesses off? This one's just the hotels. You want to piss them off? This is the internet. We got these websites now. We can talk to each other. We should go back to what the entire Northeast of the United States has been doing for almost a century. Letting people rent their house by the week, not just 1 week a month. That's a crock of horse shit. These are our homes. We've been renting houses from Cape Hatteras to the coast of Maine up there by the week for 7 or 8 decades to summer people. You could do it for winter people. Not everybody can do it, but people whose homes are empty, if they're not here, why shouldn't they be able to rent by the week? Because the hotels want to funnel every dollar to themselves. They don't even want you, they don't want you thinking about a rental because you'd be competitive with them. They can get $600 a night. If they can get $600 a night in Key West or $400 a night in Marathon, what do you think you could get for your place for a week if it was done properly and professionally? What do you think you could get? $600 a night, that's $4,200 they get a week at that hotel. You could easily get, certainly could get $1,400 a week for your house. $5,600 a month. And that's not year round, so you can't come into it. You're gone in January, you're a person who doesn't have a lot of money who could use that income, and you can set the house up to rent for 2 months. You should be able to go to wherever the hell you want and make yourself $10,000. And that would be easy. Easy. Because you would make more. I'm not crunching numbers, but You would make a lot more money if you rented your homes by the week rather than by the month to tourists or snowbirds. Make a lot more money because you'd make at least half of a month with a week. So you double your profits. And they don't want you to do it. And then they'll get some rich person out there saying, my neighbors make a lot of noise. The people are going to make a lot of noise. And we're going to have bad things happening. That's horseshit too. Total horseshit. We've been doing it at the Jersey Shore in my hometown for at least 50 years. Nothing ever happens. You know, the only place that something happened was down at the two local taverns on Friday and Saturday nights. And they hired, you know, they called them Category 2 police officers. They didn't carry guns, but they could, you know, they patrolled the bars when they let out and things like that. Weekly rentals in the Florida Keys, you're not going to just have, like you say, you have some standards, you have some rules, you get a deposit, and if they do something wrong, they're out of the place, you know, or you keep their money. So what we should do is we should put back on the ballot this fall. If we really want to piss them off, first of all, we shouldn't let them build any affordable housing until they make people whole for the same price as bringing someone in. That's number one. And instead of getting to save a hotel $3 an hour at the front desk, you know. So, got to work. We'll get something there. And then the second thing is this: we should just put something in an addendum or something in the voting booth this fall saying it. We want the entire Florida Keys, any residential property, to be able to rent their house by the week and get rid of all these silly laws. Not by the night, but by the week. These silly laws should go. Only hotels should be able to rent by the night. That's my opinion. Hotels and licensed inns and things like that. My parents had a bed and breakfast for 25 years in Marathon. And they could rent by the night, but they had a hotel license. And it was grandfathered to them because it was Botels on Man o' War Drive beforehand. So they have that right. The hotels have that advantage already. We can rent by the night. You can't. But what they really have right now is we can rent any damn way we want for any damn price we want. And you can't rent at all. You think those hotel prices might come down a little bit? Just a little. If you were allowed to rent your house by the week instead of 1 week a month, there's no profit in that. Maybe that's what they're worried about there. You can't rent your house because they don't want to have to pull their hotel supply demand pricing down from $625 a night in February to maybe $550. You know, that's why they lie to you. That's why they tell you that it'll just create chaos in your community renting by the week. It won't, because people will get more money. They'll fix things in their neighborhoods that maybe they couldn't afford. You know, some people do it, that children might, you know, someone, you know, if an old person, a lot of old people down here, if someone dies and their children are left the home and they're not retired yet, why shouldn't they be able to make money off that house rather than rent it a year round when they might want to come to it sometime? It's all bullshit. Let's put it up ballot. I say, anybody who reads this, I'm putting it on as many little local websites as I can. Let's put on the ballot that we want to get rid of every one of these little laws that prohibit homeowners from renting their house by the week, not a calendar, by 7-day periods, perhaps a calendar week, with some adjustment ability. And any damn, if they want to rent their house 52 times a year, they should be able to rent their house 52, not 12. It's not about your neighborhoods. It's about that $30, $40, $50 a night that it might skim from the hotels having a monopoly on accommodations. Let's get this together. Don't let them bullshit you anymore. They just bullshit you. That's all they do. They go for your heartstring. And while they're taking your heartstrings, saying you should feel sorry for, you should support this because you should feel sorry for these people, they're giving you a head fake and making money off screwing the people they really should feel sorry for. And they got you misdirected looking at the phantom people that don't even live here yet. It's a disgrace. It's how the politicians do it these days. Victim politics. Emotional appeal. But if we all stood together, like, and demanded this all be gone, and we should be able to rent our places by the week, as many damn weeks a year as we want, it would collapse. They couldn't stop us. They'd scream, and I don't know, they'd do something or other. I'm sure they'd send the building code directors out. They'd probably try to put all criteria and necessary safety features and shit like that just to bar entry into it. They'd try to stop you in other ways. They'd try to probably they'd have a driveway zoning parking issue with it, or they'd come up with all these little problems when really all you have to do is just say, if somebody rents my house, they can have 2 cars, period. And if there's a spot for a boat, because a lot of people rent, you gotta have a trailer spot. But we've been used to trailer spots before. But they'll make it so bad. And that's such a little thing. 90%, 95% of the people, summer people will bring boats, but not winter people. They don't have the time. Right now, the only people that can come down here are really retired people or self-employed who can take off 3 months because they can't rent for a week at a time. Families have to stay in these hotels. And now that the campgrounds are going away, there are going to be even less options for them. Let's take this back. Let's take this county back from the hotels end of Wall Street. We're not going to hurt them. They just want everything. They want 1,200 people in these lower keys that they bring in. They get cut kickbacks, perhaps, from these builders in ways we could never catch them. Attaboys. And the builders make fortunes. The poor people who lost their trailers get hauled out like the Indians did on the road to the reservations, the Trail of Tears. They're dragging them out on the Trail of Tears, people who wanted to spend the rest of their lives down here. Only to make a buck and to save the hotels 3. How sad is that? I don't like to win that way. Everybody likes to win. I want my house to go up in value, but I don't want to win that way. These builders, they don't give a shit. These politicians, if you ask me, that's one of the things I've noticed about the Republican Party, and I'm a conservative, is I'll bet you the problem, it's our own damn fault, because local politics, it's all the Chamber of Commerce guys. We got to start showing up at these, true conservatives got to start showing up, and Democrats got to start showing up at these meetings, homeowners, to see what's best for us. Not what's best for Hilton or, all those other powerful companies. I wonder how much power they use on these politicians. Let's see if we can get this around. Everybody should be able to rent their house by the week. And no money should be spent on affordable workforce housing until people are made whole that can be, for the same amount of money per capita. If they're going to spend money, spend it here first. Spend it on the people who got hurt, not on the ones you want to bring in to save a few bucks. Thanks.